Good morning. Welcome to Introduction to Algebra. We are looking at lesson 105 today. We're talking about powers with negative bases. Powers with negative bases. Now, it's not complicated. You just do have to pay a little bit of attention, guys, to it. Let's look at this. We have the negative base of, we have a base of -2. Notice that this -2 is inside parentheses. Inside parentheses causes that negative to stay with our number, okay? So when we read this, we say -2 squared. Well, -2 squared is -2 times -2, so it is a +4, okay? Now, if you look at this, there's no parentheses that puts that negative sign with our square. So what we're gonna say is, this negative, we're not going to use it when we square it. We're going to say 2 squared is 4. The opposite of that is -4. So this is -4. The difference is the parentheses. The parentheses protect the negative. If they go around it, it keeps that sign with the number that we are squaring. So if we look at this one, since it has parentheses around it, we're going to say -3 squared. So -3 times -3 is +9. Now here we have a negative sign, but we have no parentheses. So we have 3 squared, which is 9. The opposite of that is -9. So here's what you remember. The parentheses keeps the sign with the number when we square it. If there's no parentheses, square the number and take the opposite sign. Okay, let's look at this. If A is -2, let's evaluate this and find our answer. We have -2, that's going to be our number, and we're going to square it. So -2 times -2 is a +4. Now down here I have a negative sign, and then I have my number, -2 squared. So what's the opposite of this? So -2 times -2 is +4. The opposite of it is -4. Okay, let's look at this. We have a much larger equation this time. We have a squared minus ab squared minus b squared. What if a is -2 and b is -3? Okay, just like in a formula, the first thing we do is write our equation. Then we substitute it. So we have -2 squared minus -2 times b is a -3 squared minus -3 squared. Okay, so we're going to work this out. We're going to say, first, we're going to say -2 times -2 is a +4. Bring down your subtraction sign. Here, we're going to say, we're going to just bring over our -2. Well, you know, we can do this all at once. Let's do our power first, okay? So we're going to say the power, we're going to take our power, which is a square, so -3 squared. -3 squared is +9. +9 times -2 is -18. Now, we have our subtraction sign, and we have a -3 squared, so -3 times -3 is a +9. Okay, so now we're going to go through, and we cannot subtract a negative number, so we're going to have to change our sign to an addition sign. When we change this to an addition sign, we have to change this sign as well. Okay, then we have our 9. So we have 4 plus 18, which gives us 22. And then we have 22 minus 9, so our answer is 13. Okay, let's look at this again. We said a squared was -2 squared. Here we have a minus -2 times -3 squared minus -3 squared. Now, when we did this, it's enclosed because that sign, negative sign, goes with our number. So we have negative times negative, giving us a +4. Here we did the square first. We said -3 times -3 is a +9. +9 times negative 2 is negative 18. Bring down your subtraction sign, and negative 3 times negative 3 was a positive 9. Now here's where we had to change our signs because I cannot subtract a negative number. So I put a positive sign, and I changed this sign to positive as well. So I say 4 plus 18 minus 9 is 13. Let's try another one over here. We have a squared b minus b, okay? Let's use the numbers here. I'm trying to see what they've told us they were in our book. Sorry, I got to turn the page. All right, so we're going to say that a is negative 2 and b is negative 3 again, okay? So let's first write it out. If a is negative 2, we're going to say negative 2 squared. I put the parentheses around it because this is the same as what we're using here. This is a negative sign. Then I have a b, which is negative 3. I want that sign to go with my number. Minus, then I have another negative 3. So what am I going to do? I'm going to say negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4, okay? Then I'm going to say positive 4, and I know that you can do this part in your head. Okay, but I have positive 4 times negative 3 is a negative 12. Negative 12 minus a negative 3. Now again, I cannot subtract a negative number, so I have to change my sign. So I have negative 12 plus a positive 3. So negative 12 plus a positive 3 is a negative 9. Let's look at this next one. Okay, I'm going to erase this one just for room's sake. Okay, we have b squared minus a squared b. Again, if we're going to use negative 2 and negative 3. So the first one is going to be a negative 3, and we're going to square that. Minus a squared is going to be our negative 2. So we have negative 2, we're going to square it, multiply that by a negative 3. I wrote my equation, I substitute my equation. Now let's solve it. Negative 3 squared. Negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9. Minus negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. Positive 4 times a negative 3 is a negative 12. Okay? Everybody see what we did? Because remember, multiplication, I can do these in whatever order. Okay? So I have a positive 9 minus a negative 12. I cannot subtract a negative number. So what am I going to do? I'm going to change my sign to 9 plus, change the sign of the next number to positive 12. And 9 plus 12 is 21. Okay? All we do is write our equation, substitute it, and follow it. Remember, if the sign is inside or protected by parentheses, then we're using that with our numbers, such as a negative 2, right here, negative 2 squared. This negative is protected by the parentheses. It means it goes with our number when we multiply. So we have negative times negative. Let's see. Let's see if I found one real quick. Here, this negative sign is not inside parentheses. So when I put it in, I'm going to say the opposite of a squared, where my a is a negative 2. So the opposite of negative 2 squared. So negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. The opposite of that is negative 4. Okay? Let's see. We've done the practice on these today. I hope that went well for you. We'll do several more of them, okay? But not at this moment. Let's look at number 1 on problem set 105. It says 7/12 of the students mispronounced the word chic. If 1,440 knew how to pronounce the word, how many mispronounced it? Well, I can't just take my fraction and solve this problem. Why? Well, because the problem gives me one fraction when I need a different fraction. But what I mean by that is it says 7/12 of the students mispronounced. Okay, 7/12 mispronounced, okay? Now, since 7/12 mispronounced, how many of them pronounced it correctly? You have to think of your fraction, so it's going to be what? 12 minus 7 is 5. So 5/12 were pronounced it correctly, okay? They pronounced it correctly. So now go back and look at your story problem. 7/12 of the students mispronounced the word chic. If 1,400 knew how to pronounce the word, how many mispronounced it? Okay? So what we're going to say, if 7/12 of them mispronounced it, 5/12 of them pronounced it correctly, we're going to say that 5/12 of some number equaled, I have to look back at my problem here real quick, 1,440. Now, what are we going to do? We're going to make this into an equation, okay? Let's go ahead and make it a little more what we're used to. 5/12 n equals 1,440 over 1. We're going to use a reciprocal of 12 over 5. We're going to multiply this by 12 over 5. These are going to cancel, leaving us n. We're going to be able to reduce this. We're going to reduce by 5. I know that because this ends in a 0. 5 goes into 14 2 times. 5 goes into 44 8 times. 5 goes into 40 8 times. Okay, so now I have n on this side. I'm going to say 288 times 12. 288 times 12. I'm going to get 3,000. Let's see, let's go over here and go with this. 288 times 12. 2 times 8 is 16. 2 times 8 is 16 and 1 makes 17. 2 times 2 is 4 plus the 1 makes 5. Now we're going to multiply by 1. Okay, so we have 15. We have 14. We have 3,456. That's not our answer yet, okay? That tells us what? Go back to your story problem. We just found out what 5/12 of this is. 5/12 of this number was 3,456. So that's the whole. But we know that 1,440 of them did know how to pronounce the word. So now we have to take the 3,456 minus the ones that knew how to pronounce it, which in this case was 1,440. We're going to subtract that, okay? And when we subtract this out, we're going to get 2,016. This is the number of students that mispronounced the word chic. Okay, let's look at number 2. 1/5 of the students were pernicious in their pursuit of knowledge. I hope you are. If 840 students were not in this category, how many students were there in all? In order to solve our problem, we're going to have to say how many were pernicious, how many were not, okay? So let's put that on our board real quickly. Okay, if we're going to have, it says that 1/5 are pernicious. Okay, and I'm just going to abbreviate for time's sake. If 1/5 are, how many were not? Well, then 4/5 are not. Now, the question is, if you look back at your book, 1/5 of the students were pernicious in their pursuit of knowledge. If 840 students were not pernicious in this category, how many students were there in all? So we're going to take our 4/5 of some number equals 840. Okay? And we know how to solve this. This is not a problem for us at all. Okay? We're going to multiply by our reciprocal. We're going to multiply on both sides. And this is going to cancel, leaving us n. We're going to reduce by this once. So it's 210. Now we're going to multiply by 5. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. Okay? 1,050. Okay? That's not our answer. That's part of our answer. Okay? Look at what it says. I'm sorry, I misspoke. That is the answer. How many students, if 840 students were in this category, and we know that there's 1,000, 4/5 of what number was 840? 1,050 is our answer. I apologize. Okay, look at number 3. Number 3 says the ratio of a number that paid the piper this month to the number that paid the piper last month was 12:5. You know, we all have to pay the piper eventually. What that means is you have to give an account for your actions. Okay, you will give an account for your attentiveness on this video and on your homework when I hand out tri-weeklies or progress reports and grades this quarter. Okay, everybody has to pay the piper, so to speak. Okay, that's an expression that means responsibility. Okay, the ratio was 12:5. Now, if there were 170 in all, how many paid the piper this month? Well, wait a minute. 170 in all. So that means I have to think about an in all or a total for this implied ratio. Okay, for the implied ratio, we have to take the number that paid the piper, the number that didn't pay the piper, and our total. So when we look at that, we're going to say it is 12 paid the piper. It says the ratio of the number that paid the piper this month to the piper, the ones that paid last month. It is 12. That is this month. It is 5 last month. So what's our total? Our total is 17. I know that I need to put these facts out there because it's asking me if there were 170 in all. In all means a total. If I want to compare a total, I have to compare it to another total. Okay? So look at our ratio. Our ratio is going to be 12:17. And that's going to be 170 with an X over. Okay? Why? Because we are going to have those that paid, this is a total, and this is a total. Now what are we going to do? We're going to cross multiply. Okay, when we cross multiply, we're going to get 17x. Now we're going to take 12 times 170. We do that. 12 times 170 is 2,040. What do you do when you have a number and an x? It means to multiply. You do the opposite. So you're going to divide. We're going to divide both sides by 17. That means we're going to these are going to cancel. And we're going to say 2,040 divided by 17 is 120. So our answer is 120. Okay? Today, you will see some homework on your online work. Please use what we did today in the class to help you. And then complete the assignment and take your quiz. Let me please remind you, you may not use a calculator on your quiz, okay? You cannot use calculator. I need you to do this with your big fat brains, okay? Because I need you to make sure you understand this. You still are gonna need to be able to pass these classes at the end of the year. Hopefully, I know Indiana has canceled. I don't know what that means for us coming back. We're gonna continue having classes. We're gonna continue having grades, and I want you to do well, okay? Have a great day.